Anderson. I'm Executive Director of Old Fort Niagara. This building was built in 1726 by the French, and it was designed to house about 40 soldiers and their officers, and other functions as well. Things like the fur trade. There was a chapel here. There were storerooms for supplies. So it was really an all-in-one building for the garrison. And the castle stood alone here for a couple of decades before other buildings were added. Right now we're in the upper guard room on the second floor of the building. And this room would have housed about 20 enlisted men, 20 enlisted French soldiers. Over here to my right would be the camp bed. It's just a big long shelf. And on that you would have mattresses. The soldiers have blankets. Especially in the winter, it's going to get cold in here at night. Now behind me is a musket rack where the soldiers would stack their muskets when not using them. And also behind me is a fireplace. So not only did you sleep in this room, but you would also prepare your meals in here. You would divide men down into mess groups, and each mess group would draw their rations and cook together. So they would probably eat their meals as well in this space. Normally your routine was you would get up in the morning, you would straighten up the barracks prior to eating breakfast, and then you would go about your routine duties throughout the day. Now there are two of these rooms in the French castle. This second floor room, and then there's one on the first floor. The room on the first floor is where the active duty guard was billeted. And so during the course of the day, from noon one day until noon the next, every 2 hours, those guards would go out and relieve the sentries and bring back the old sentries and post new ones. The difference between the two guard rooms is that the downstairs guard room was very, very Spartan. There were no mattresses, there were no creature comforts, because the active duty guard, while they could lie down on the camp bed, they didn't want them to get too comfortable, because they were going to be, they had to be alert in the event of an alarm, and they had to be going out and relieving the sentries every couple of hours. But up here, they did have mattresses, and we have a record of that because we have a 1738 inventory of this whole building. And so they're listing 20 old straw mattresses. They also had a copper kettle in here, a grill, a frying pan, an axe, presumably for chopping firewood, one large iron fork, one shovel for ashes, and 2 buckets with iron hoops and a grease lamp. That's how they illuminated the room. It was the cheapest form of lighting available in the 18th century. We have a couple of tables here in the room, pretty basic furniture. These soldiers lived a very, very Spartan life. And we'll see some of the soldiers' personal possessions on these tables, and they didn't have many. One interesting thing that appears on the inventory, this was in the lower guard room where the active guard stayed, but this is a half-hour sand glass, and this is how they knew when to change the sentries. 4 turns of this would give you the 2-hour period that you needed between guard changes. So you find these on inventories of French forts from the Atlantic coast all the way into the Ohio country. And it also appears here at Fort Niagara. We have a drum here, and of course the drum was also downstairs in the active guard room, and of course that's how you communicated with the garrison. The drummer, a very important person in the garrison, would tell people when to get up, when to eat, when to go to work, and in the event of an alarm, of course they're going to sound the alarm and alert the garrison in case of an attack or some disturbance. Also behind me we have some uniforms on the wall, and then various eating utensils that the soldiers would scrounge up. So this is the upper guard room. It's only one of many rooms here in the French castle. This building, as I said, built in 1726. And sometime in the 1750s, it was renovated, turned into officers' housing, but originally it was designed to house about 40 soldiers, and it stood alone here, right here at the mouth of the Niagara River.